Freddie, hey, thanks for being here at Swiss Resort with me and Waterski Nation for this video series we're doing called The Ultimate Skier. And we definitely couldn't have it without you, so we're super stoked to have you here, chat with you a little bit. Your segment is about lean angle, intensity, and commitment. And those are really, when you're skiing and you can't hear people on shore talking about your skiing, those are the comments they make about you. It's like, man, this dude is like going for it. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes your skiing reminds me of like, Gravedigger at the end of Monster Jam. I mean, you're driving till the tires fly off. So we want to talk a little bit about that and get some insight from you. Like, how do you, when you were growing up, obviously you're one of the bigger, stronger guys on tour. Did you early on realize that was a huge advantage to you and started to like use that power and that lean behind the boat to obviously create space, get earlier in the course? Or
Well, I was always quite a small kid, until I was like 16, 17. So, I mean, I was working with John Battleday back in the UK, who you know well.
Yep.
I would just try and work on technique. And, as much as it's nice to be able to, bust out a big turn or whatever, I mean, I do try. A few people might not
Yeah.
agree with me, but I do try and sort of do the technique of stuff quite well. But no, it definitely wasn't something I was able to do growing up, to be sort of, to get that big lean or whatever. Or if I did it, then I wasn't strong enough to hold on to it, So yeah, it was sort of something that came along a bit later, I guess. But I think that, water skiing, in my opinion, you need quite serious intensity, but it's in the right places. And I think that when I was a kid, it was about doing the biggest turn possible and the biggest lean possible. And then it took me actually quite a while to realize that can be really detrimental. So what I try and do is, I'm a bigger guy. Like, in that way, I do have to resist the boat and all that sort of stuff. But the aim is to be intense behind the boat, where it's actually going to help me get speed,
Right.
instead of just drop my shoulder and lean as hard as I can.
Right.
Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
To get me out to the next buoy.
Yeah. And so now that you've been running 41 for a few years, 5-6 years maybe, you've been running 41. Do you still feel like, I mean, obviously when you get in trouble and you need to make 41, you're going to do what you got to do. But do you feel that the intensity has come down from the first year you ran 41, where it's like, man, I got to do what I got to do to get through this? And now when you're at the end of a lake in a tournament, knowing you got to run 41, is it still like fifth gear, gas pedal to the floor? Or is it like, have you been able to kind of manage that and harness that power, like you say, to use it in the right spot?
I think I first ran 41 like 5 years ago, and I would say I'm definitely, I hope technique-wise it's better. I think I'm pulling a little less.
Mm-hmm.
My best 41s, when I started to run 41 quite consistently, you have the patches where it's just easy.
Yep.
Those are the ones where I'm working the least. So I realized that actually I can do 41 without working that hard, and that's the aim.
Right.
When things are just flowing and it's just a case of like, get up on the boat, turn the ski, that's when that's what I want to do.
Right.
Now, like you said, there's times, especially in tournaments, where you get a bad gate, it's windy, whatever, you get a bad one, and then you need to get down to 5 to win the tournament. You go for it.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that's kind of in my locker, that I can do a big 2-4 turn if I need to, and,
Yep.
and get across. And yeah, I'd say I have a lot more of an idea of what I'm doing now than I did 5 years ago. Or at
Right.
least, I've sat in the boat a lot and coached a lot of people and thought about skiing a lot more, and I'm kind of aware of the parameters.
Yep.
So hopefully, I'd say the 41s I've run this year were much better than the ones I ran
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Yeah, and we can see that too. Like, we can see from when you first started to run it, you were a little bit like, I'm getting to the end of the lake come hell or high water. And now it's like, you can see that the big power only comes when you get in trouble, and you need to pull that trigger. So it's kind of cool to have it in your arsenal. And like you say, you work on technique a lot, which is important. But I've watched a lot of really good, pretty skiers that can't run 41 off, and the commitment that you show is like, in my book, in the 41 offs that I've sat in the boat and watched, it's like, you're committed before you even know if. You're committed. If you're turning at 3 ball, you're committed to go to 4 ball before you're even 100% sure what's going to happen right here, right? And so that's part of running short rope. So is that like, are you able now to make that a conscious decision, or is that an instinctual reaction, or how does that play into, like, because you're one of the most committed dudes out there. Like, there's nobody, you're not going to miss a ball and ski back to the dock, So, how do you play that with? Is it instinct, or is it like, yeah, I'm going for it, or?
I mean, I always try and go for it. Obviously, in tournaments, you definitely have the score that you need. Like to make a final, often it's 3. So I kind of get a bad 1, bad 2. I'm going to stop at 3.
Right.
Or if I need to get to 4, I'm turning that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always find that S turning is in some ways kind of shameful. Like you kind of go,
and we see that.
I didn't
commit.
That. But I mean, you try it. It's the job. You have to do it.
Right.
So I mean, I always try and turn. And I kind of feel like with the way I ski, I would give myself a 9 out of 10 chance, whatever way I come into a buoy 2 or a buoy 4, I can probably turn it.
Yeah.
I can have a good go.
Yep. Yeah. That's cool. And so recently you made an equipment change. You went from being double boots to having just a rear kicker with a little heel piece on it. Has that affected your ability to fight? Has it affected your power behind the boat in either a positive way or a negative way?
No. I mean, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but it's really messed up, weird back binding that I chopped up myself with a pair of scissors last November. But I've only seen positives. I was on a double boot setup 2 years ago, and I moved away from that just because I just felt like I would be, less injury prone, which I was at the time. I was missing a lot of the season from being hurt. So just because I wasn't, I'd have a big, I crashed stupidly.
Yeah.
And so I moved to this, and I went to like that high wrap boot last year, and in the end I've just feel like I can get a bit more mobility on my back foot.
Yep.
So I can sort of stay balanced, especially through the edge change into my 135, which is my weak side.
Yep.
I really don't feel I've lost any power whatsoever going across. I feel like it's only positive compared to, and I think that's sort of been shown in my skiing, like this year compared to last year. But at the same time, I changed from last year to this year. I changed ski, I changed back boot, I changed letter, I changed to a 2-handed gate. So it's been a lot of things. I can't tell you why I've had a better season this year than last year. It's one of those 4 things, and hopefully some technique as well. But I had a tumultuous off season last year, which was with some positivity there. Yeah.
Right. And so walk us through, you posted a video not long ago of the backwards course. Was that 39 off you were running in that video?
41.
41.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 41. Okay. So walk us through that. How I mean, we can see what it is. We get it. What is that, some kind of cross training you think will be beneficial to you, or was it just like, hey, I bet you I can do this, let's do it? Or
honestly, I definitely don't think it's to help me.
No, okay.
At all. I think it's basically middle of the summer. I'm just like, man, I wonder if I had buoy 1 on the left, if I could just turn it, and I'm like, well, the ratio of offside turns to onside turns, like how hard is that gate, moving onto your offside turn?
Right.
And I thought, I'm going to try that. So when it got to the end of the season, I just dropped in 6 buoys, like eyeballed them, and bang in the middle of our other course. Yeah. So you go into that lake and there's a million buoys, but you can work it out, and just pulled out on the right. And I just, for me being pretty heavy turn on the 135 and having less offsides, it just feels easier.
Yeah.
Because I can I don't think the gate's harder. I think you just need to learn it a little bit. It's actually a lot of fun. You can bring that front foot through, get over to 1, turn like hell, and then go from there. And it's like I said, don't think it's particularly useful for me. It's only going to make me ski more one-sided,
right?
Because you only have 2 half
of
offside turns.
Yeah.
I think for a lefty, I'll tell you something. If I was a left foot forward skier, I would ski that course every day.
Be advocating
every
it. Yeah.
day. Because I think it's lefties train their offside turn less.
Yeah.
So that would encourage them to get to fix that, and I
right.
think, yeah, and just a bit of fun. The off season, you've had a long season of like 8 months of intense skiing. You're going, oh my god, I got to run 41. I got go to the tournaments, and then at the end of the year, I just was like, I always try and do something that's going to keep me interested, like do something a little bit different where I'm not thinking about scores. So backwards course, go fast, go slow, whatever.
Well, it's you're training your brain. You train so much, it's like Groundhog Day in slalom.
Totally.
And so training it the other way is definitely just making you think and break down your movements more, doing them the opposite way.
And my favorite thing about that course is I can start, the way our legs are set up, they're at 90 degrees and you can go straight between them, so you don't have to drop. So my favorite sets that I'm doing with it, I'm doing 32 drop, 35 drop, you know, going back to back and like running 39 the normal way and then straight into the other way.
Yep.
And you kind of just forget what your offside and onside turn is. So you're almost just reacting.
That's cool.
And that's as a, you know, internally I'm just a nerdy water skier, and that's I'm like, oh, it's so different. You know? and I've had my friends come out and ski on it, and they love it. It's
that's cool.
A lot of fun.
Awesome. So give us your 2019 highlight. What's the one moment where you like were super pumped about what you had achieved after an event? Or
yeah, I mean, I was really, you know, a few things. I had I mean, probably my most consistent year. Didn't get the high of 2 years ago when I won the Worlds. Like, that was the worst moment, was losing the runoff at the World Championships.
Yeah.
But the main one was winning Masters and going last off the dock, knowing exactly what I had to do, and then just, you know, just getting around that buoy 3 and knowing I'd won. That was pretty exciting. And actually, you know, watching the commentary back, he's like, oh, if he gets to buoy 2, he's going to turn it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't standing up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing. Talking to someone else at the time, like, slalom is the only one of the 3 disciplines where you know immediately.
Right.
Like trick skiing, you're waiting for 10 minutes. Jumping, you're waiting for 2 or 3 minutes. I knew that second as soon as I got around that buoy, and then like that moment will live with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Looking at the pavilion where I was right in front of, and I was shouting, and they were shouting back at me.
Yeah,
It was
That was awesome. That was a great moment.
So much fun. Yeah,
cool.
That was it.
And lastly, can you tell us, you know, we're doing a video series on the ultimate skier, and of course it wouldn't even work without talking about Andy Mapple.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think there's anybody on the planet that doesn't think he's the greatest skier of all time. So can you kind of talk to us a little bit about how he's impacted you, either as a mentor, idol, coach, whatever it was? I mean, you guys come from England, so I'm sure you heard his name from the second time you heard Waterski, you probably heard Andy's name. So
yeah, well, I grew up skiing. I can't, you know, I wasn't, didn't know Andy that well. Met him only a handful of times, but obviously, you know, the guy that I grew up idolizing. And I grew up skiing on the lake and then working for many years. You know, for 20 years, I pretty much skied on that same lake where he won his first World Championships in, I think, in 81.
80, yeah, or
81
7?
or 83. Oh, no,
80,
whenever it was.
Yeah, 87, I think it was. Yeah.
Got me on the history. And so I kind of felt like, you know, him being English, I was proud that there was a guy who was going out who was like not too far away from where I'm from, who was going out there and beating all the guys. And I remember we used to have these tournaments, you know, the Café de Colombia Cup, which came to Thorpe a bunch of times, and then when they came to England for the Prince's Pro-Am, and just watching him there, it was just like, you know, he was the guy, you know, it was amazing. And I remember he ran three times he ran 41 in one tournament, when he'd only been run like a total of like 8 times before total or whatever, and it was incredible. I held that moment with me for a long, I was just like, you know, it's huge.
Well, and it must be cool too, because the Andy Mapple tournament they did at Thorpe this year, I mean, dominated that thing. I mean,
well, I didn't. I lost, but I
mean, going there and running 41 in front of basically your hometown crowd. I mean, I saw you ski at Thorpe Park when you were about 4 or 5 years old. I mean, I remember you. That's where you grew up skiing. So it must have been pretty cool for you. There's probably a lot of old guys on the shore that knew you when you were young, and here you are, like running 41 off in Andy's tournament. So.
And that was cool. I had one guy come up and he had like tears in his eyes.
Yeah.
He's like, that was great skiing.
I believe it.
And I was like, wow, you know.
Yeah,
that was
awesome.
That was great.
Great. Well, thanks, Freddie. Thanks for being here with us.
Thanks, Matt. Cheers.
If you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough.
Oh my God.
When you get knocked down, you gotta get back up. Oh, that's the way it is in life and love.
Oh, and another one of those famous YouTube-worthy crashes. Classic Freddie Winter dismount, and 10 out of 10 for Stadlbaur, that's for sure.
Getting the hook up off number 2.